Do you want a housing crash? I've talked a lot about a potential Canadian housing crash on this channel. I've given you my thoughts on what may cause a crash, what a crash may look like, and what happens if there's no crash at all. And there are strong opinions on both sides, whether a crash is just around the corner or a crash may never happen at all. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're all doing well. In the videos where I talk about the possibilities of a housing crash, I'll get plenty of comments saying that a crash may never happen for so and so reasons. And the videos where I talk about what if a crash doesn't happen, I'll get plenty of comments saying a crash is just around the corner. It may be coming in Q2, in Q3, in the summer of 2022, and so on. You can see that there are many opinions on both sides, whether a crash may never happen at all, or whether a crash is imminent. So in today's video, I want to talk about what do you actually want to happen and why. We're not going to be talking about if you think a Canadian housing market crash may or may not happen. That's not the goal for today. Plain and simple, I want to know, why do you want a housing crash? Or those on the other side, why do you not want a housing crash? I want you to go into the comments and let me know exactly what your thoughts are, whether you want or do not want a housing crash. I want to focus on the why behind those reasons. Are you thinking of buying or selling a property? You've probably heard the talk about a potential housing bubble. But what does that mean for you? What exactly is a housing bubble? In a nutshell, a housing bubble happens when the increase in real estate prices is fueled by speculation rather than a healthy functioning economy. House prices just keep going up, but that increase really has no real reason or logic behind it. Many reference the 2008-2009 US housing market crash, when prices and sales were rapidly rising and that real estate sector, it was booming. Many will draw parallels and say what happened in the US is going to happen here in Canada. But here's the thing, no two bubbles are alike. But also, no asset class can keep going up forever without facing some sort of pricing correction or a crash, especially if it's booming for all the wrong reasons. But I don't want to get sidetracked, because we're not talking about the reasons why a housing crash may or may not happen. I want to focus on what you, the person behind the screen watching this video, what do you want? Why do you want a crash to happen? Or why do you not want a crash to happen? Later in the video, I'll also talk about what I want to happen given the current state of our housing market. There is national overheating. It's not just the Toronto or Vancouver real estate markets that are seeing insatiable demand. It's happening everywhere across the country. Across Canada, mortgage rates are at historic low levels, and sales demand is incredibly high. Let's face it, supply has not been able to keep up with the housing market. And the way things are going in 2021, supply will continue not to be able to keep up, especially with this runaway market. This is why a lot of buyers are seeking opportunities to purchase a condo in high-priced cities, or moving away from urban centers as far away as possible just to be able to buy the first home that they can actually afford. We are in a very strong seller's market. What that means is that sellers have plenty of buyers to choose from with multiple bidding wars. But buyers, on the other hand, you don't have that same luxury. You don't have multiple properties to choose from. Unfortunately, you have to choose whatever property is able to fit your budget pretty much right away. Because if you take too long, that property will get scooped up by someone else. That's just the reality of today's housing market. One of the biggest reasons why people actually want a housing crash is to be able to choose a property that fits their lifestyle and fits the needs of their family. Right now, because of the insatiable demand for single-family homes, many buyers are limited to buying expensive and small condos just to be able to get into the housing market, not knowing if they'll ever be able to move out of that property and into a much larger space if prices keep going up the way they are going. There was an interesting article I read the other day. It talked about how 40% of aspiring homeowners have given up completely on the dream of ever owning a home. It's almost like if we've gone from FOMO, fear of missing out, to fear of having missed out. The truth is, if you're a single income family or a young couple looking to get started, you may not be able to live in the GTA or the greater Vancouver area because you're competing with high earners with dual incomes. You're competing with investors who have access to a lot of capital. You're competing with homeowners who have existing equity. So if you want to live in the two of the most expensive cities in Canada, your only option may be to continue renting it out. Or if you really want to own a home, you'll have to look elsewhere, outside the GTA, outside the greater Vancouver area. You may have to move across the province, maybe across the country, wherever, just to own a home. That's the state we find ourselves in today. You'll have to find a job somewhere else. You'll have to move your family. Because today we don't have the luxury of choosing the cities we want to raise our families. Our lifestyle choices are dictated by the housing market. So there's plenty of reasons on why people want a housing crash. Many people can't afford a single family home in large cities. So the next best, cheaper option is to buy a condo. The thing is, and a lot of people are buying pre-construction, which of course has its own pros and cons. The demand we're seeing today on securing a mortgage and housing is going to have a lasting impact on not just Toronto's real estate market and not just Vancouver's real estate market. It's going to have a lasting impact on Canada's national housing market for many years to come. So of course, people are going to feel FOMO. Every ad, every home rental show, every social media post is designed to trigger it. At this rate, there just won't be enough housing for the greater Toronto area, for the greater Vancouver area. People will be forced to relocate to commutable cities. This is going to make for some incredibly long commutes when offices start calling their employees back. The other thing to take into consideration is how will all this impact the rental market across the country. The scooping up of properties in big cities has caused rental rates to skyrocket as well. Apartments that used to be $800 a month to rent have increased to $2,300 a month just in a few short years. If you don't have the income, and you don't have the equity, buying is tough, renting is tough, you're forced to stretch your budget, and you feel like you're always falling behind. This makes it so much harder for lower income Canadians to be able to afford to live. It's also a major issue for students and immigrants coming into the country who rely on a big city for renting. You can see why many are wanting a housing crash just to bring back some level of affordability. Income levels have just not gone up enough to sustain these monster prices, right? So you can see why people are wanting a housing crash. It's almost like it's become a necessity that you have to purchase a home to be taken seriously as an adult. So that's one side to the coin, those who want a housing crash. Let's take a look at the other side of the coin, the investor's perspective. The market is booming for anyone to look into cash in on their investments. As an investor, the current housing market is great news because your assets are continuously increasing in value. For example, let's say you bought a home back in 2013 for $350,000. That very same home could be worth $800,000 to $1 million depending on where you live. Going off on these incredible growth rates, investors would love to add more properties to their portfolio. Buying up properties seems like a surefire bet. And why wouldn't you? You buy something today, it's going to be worth more tomorrow and worth even more the day after that, and so on. If you're an investor looking to make these kind of profits, you don't want to crash. There's an easy to use formula that really goes around. Buyers work with mortgage brokers to secure ultra low rates. Let's face it, the Bank of Canada isn't raising rates anytime soon. And if it does, it may not be meaningful. You secure a mortgage and you buy a property. Once you build up equity, you take that piece out, refinance your current home, use the proceeds to make a down payment on a second property. You then rinse and repeat and amass as many properties as you'd like. This is an oversimplification of the process, but this is just to give you an idea of how real estate companies and real estate investors typically work. Real estate has almost become a game in this country, especially due to COVID-19. Listings are seeing record-breaking bidding wars and ridiculously high offers. It doesn't really matter what city you're in. This is happening nationally. You have to understand that real estate is an asset class, but at the same time, also like no other asset class. In theory, there's nothing inherently wrong about real estate investors buying up properties because like any other investor, they're just investing in another asset class. Real estate can be used as an asset class just like stocks, bond, gold, silver, or Bitcoin, etc., all of which saw a dramatic increase in the last year and are seeing an increase today. But unlike Bitcoin or a speculation stock, which only has value if people agree it has value, a house is also a consumable, meaning it also offers a place for you to live. So while Bitcoin can crash to zero, just like a company can go bankrupt and lose all its value, real estate can't crash in the same way because it has an inherent value. It will always have a means to provide a shelter. So what do I want to happen? We know that mortgage rates are at historically low levels. This had a massive impact in bringing up house prices. When mortgage rates drop, all of a sudden, you can afford a home with a bigger sticker price, but so can many others. The supply of houses for sale is also near record lows. When there is less supply to meet demand, you're going to see prices go up. That's just the laws of supply and demand. The Canadian population keeps increasing organically and through immigration, and that's to continue for years to come. But the land available will continue to stay the same. Simply put, you'll have more and more people competing for the very same square footage. When the economy eventually recovers and inflation picks back up, the Bank of Canada will raise mortgage rates and unwind its balance sheet. This will cause mortgage rates to rise, and prices may fall at that point. But the Bank of Canada also knows not to do that too quickly, otherwise it may cause a crash. In theory, higher home prices should incentivize builders to build more homes and for people to sell. But in reality, it takes time for new homes to be built, so it's less likely we'll see a supply crash. And people are just not wanting to sell, so there's just less supply to go around. I really hope there is some sort of price stabilization where prices are still rising, but at a much slower rate. Or maybe prices come down first and then stabilize. But I do hope they stabilize at some sort of normal levels, where people saving for down payments can actually catch up and not feel like they're being forced to buy for the sake of buying. Because understanding how our own emotions, assumptions, and cravings make us vulnerable to bad choices will go a long, long way. Thank you so much for watching. This channel would not exist without your love and support. So please do me a favor. Check out the links in the description below. I have offers to various discounts and sign-up bonuses. Every click directly supports the channel. If you have questions for me, feedback on this video, or maybe you have ideas on future content, let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It makes a huge, huge difference. It helps me reach a much wider audience. That's it for now. I'll talk to you guys in the comments.